Hello and welcome back to my channel, and I know I'm saying this again, but yes, I know it's been a while. I kind of started my YouTube bits back up again, and then I went and got myself a new job, and I was working 2 jobs at the same time as I worked like my notice period of one and started another. So I kind of just decided that all of April was going to be a month where I focused on my new job and sort of had a bit of a break from writing and social media content. My fiance and I are also in the process of buying our first home, so that's also been quite stressful and another reason why I just decided to not do any sort of writing or social media stuff in April. Other updates, I got a haircut. So yeah, new haircut, new me. I'm going to try and be more productive. How many times have I said that and not uploaded? But no, this time I'm going to try. So yeah, social media, TikTok, links down below. I've got 2 TikToks. Oh, I can't speak. I've got 2 TikTok accounts. One is my bookish account where you'll get all my writing updates and writing and book content. And the second account, if you're interested in more sort of lifestyle-y stuff and seeing bits about my life that aren't bookish related, like the house moving, wedding-y content, and most of it is going to be food related because I love cooking, then you can check out that other account as well. I'll link both of them. So please go follow both and let's get on with the video. So today is going to be the first proper update video when it comes to my rewrite of The Mad Queen, and we're going to be discussing sort of 3 areas. The first will be improvements I can make based off of feedback from my sister and from writers of the story. The second is going to be world building and showing you a little bit of the map that I've made. And the third part is going to be actually starting writing the first chapter and going between when to write and when to plan. So what am I keeping in this new version of the story? And the one thing both my sister and my readers have said that they've found the most important element of the story to be is the sisterly bond, and that is 100% going to stay. I'm going to expand on it a lot more. The sisters will go in lots of different directions. They'll have different journeys, different learning experiences, but the whole story at its core is going to be about that strong love and strength between sisters and always having someone they can rely on who's always going to have their back. So there's going to be lots of different sort of world building changes, a few like plot changes and things like that, but at its core this story and the love between sisters is going to be the single sort of thread that binds it all together, and I'm absolutely going to be keeping that in the new version. Now, an area that needs improving, and this is something that I have been told by readers and my sister, is that there are lots of unfinished parts of the story, which makes sense because it was a first draft basically, but there are lots of elements in the story that just aren't wrapped up, that are there for kind of no reason and have no meaning. So I will definitely be working on both expanding the world building so some of these questions do get answered, but also cutting down on anything that's unnecessary and fixing any plot holes, which I think I'm not going to go too much into that because I think fixing plot holes and unanswered questions is going to be a pretty obvious thing of what I'll be doing in the rewrite. So yeah, you know that's going to be happening. The next element of the story I will be changing and I think improving are the villains. This is coming not really from feedback from my sister or from my audience, but from my own ideas, I guess, or my own feelings toward the story. And that is, I think my villains, Kristoff and Sebastian especially, are far too much obviously villains, if that makes sense. In this new version, I'm really going to try and make them both, Kristoff especially, he's just kind of evil for the sake of being evil. I'm going to make them a lot more complex, and I'm going to make their evilness a lot more, at least to begin with, a lot more subtle. Kristoff is just outright horrible in this version, in the Wattpad version, whereas I want him to be again, I've said this word already, but I want him to be much more complex. I want him to be more villainous, but in a much more... I know the story's dark already, but in like a darker way. He's going to be a lot more sinister, a lot more cunning, because he's kind of an idiot. He's just nasty for the sake of being nasty in the book, and in this version he's going to be a lot more cunning and darker. This whole new version is going to be a lot darker, by the way. Like, I know the Mad Queen is dark already, but it kind of... and I don't know if this is going to make sense, but it feels surface level dark, whereas this new version, it's just going to be... there's not going to be like major muhahaha villains. It's going to just be a lot more subtle. So I hope that works well, and I hope that's what people are expecting. You're still going to get lots of the nastiness from Kristoff and Sebastian, but they're going to be much more intelligent with it, much more of a adversary for the sisters to go up against. Now, let's talk pacing. And I think that is one of my biggest issues that I have with the Wattpad version. The pacing is not the best. I've had that comments. I felt that myself when I was doing like rereads. I've had comments along those lines throughout the story, and my sister also said about it as well. Because I know part of the way through the first book, there's about 10 chapters that are pure flashbacks. And in reality, or in a published book, people aren't going to be wanting the story interrupted by flashbacks. So my sister said, and this is going to be spoilers for those of you who are coming to this video and who haven't read Mad Queen, probably not many of you. I think most people watch this video are interested in the updates. But if you haven't read Mad Queen and you don't know what happens, pause now or skip to another point in the video. I don't know when, I don't know how to mark it out, but I'll figure it out. Anyway, this could be spoilers, but my sister said the relationship and having that background between Kai and Illyana was really special. And when I asked her whether she thinks that Illyana and Kai should meet for the first time in the Lupine lands and form a relationship from there, she said no, having that castle visit and them meeting then was just so much nicer. So I will be keeping that in, and I do have an idea of how I'm going to incorporate it more naturally throughout the story. It just isn't going to be in 10, 11 chapters of pure flashback. So don't worry, the relationship between Kai and Illyana isn't going to be changing much. I'm going to try and make it, like with other elements, I'm going to try and make it more fleshed out, a lot deeper. But they are still going to get together. They're still going to have that history together of when Kai and the Lupine visit the castle a few years prior to the Queen's trial starting. It just isn't going to be in one big chunk of a flashback that interrupts the flow of the story. And other pacing elements is, I had a few comments when Illyana was in the Lupine lands, and that it felt like to the readers that she was there for far too long compared to the things that her sisters were doing. So she is still going to spend time in the Lupine lands, but I'm also going to try and flesh out her bond or her getting the allegiances of the other races, and she'll be spending time with like the centaurs and with the merfolk, who aren't going to be merfolk, by the way. I am changing that race or those creatures in the rewrite, but I'm not going to tell you to what. But she will be spending more time with the other creatures of the Vavel. Oh my gosh, I can't even say my own country's name. She will be spending more time with other creatures of Vavel and not just the Lupine. And when she gets to the Lupine, it will be slightly different as well. So it won't feel like Illyana's just living a good, cushy life with someone she loves whilst her sisters are suffering. She is still going to be more actively working towards her goal and having a mission in mind, instead of just kind of being stagnant whilst her sisters are doing all the work. So that is another element I will definitely be improving upon. And my final point, and that's going to lead over into how I'm rebuilding this world, is I'm going to be much more thorough with my world building this time. One thing I struggle with in all my stories is managing time and how much time has passed. between certain events. So I'm going to be kind of, as I write, making a list of timelines. I've also set out like yearly timelines of when things take place and how many years happen between it, so that I don't confuse myself. It's going to be a lot easier for the reader to follow. We're going to know how much time has passed when and it not be so ambiguous. Leading into world building, and then I'm going to like move over a little bit because I'm going to add a screen recording of me building a map here, hopefully. I have already built a map, as you can see, because I feel like I need that visual before I start writing of where things are going to go where. And this time making the map was hard, and it's going to look really different to how it looks on Wattpad, because I kind of did a bit more research into like landscapes and way things form, because the Lupine live in a desert and like Leon lives near fjords and stuff, so I was like, oh, how do you have like a desert and like mountains in one place? I don't know how it works. So I actually had to do a bit of research into deserts and how to make a slightly more accurate map. Now I know it doesn't need to be completely accurate because this is a fantasy world, it's all make-believe, but yeah, it's going to look quite different, and I'm kind of based it a little bit off America, even though I'm a British author and I'm using like British English and stuff, and I imagine my characters or like the royals speaking with my kind of accent. I've kind of based the landmass of America because it has so many different climates in, and that's what I feel like Rivelle will be like. Like, it's got like the deserts in one hotter area, and it's got beautiful evergreen forests in one area. So researching to do map making was interesting, and it was actually kind of fun. So yeah, this here, I think it's being added, whatever, is kind of the first map that I've made so far, and the outline of it, or how it looks, is kind of how I want it to stay, but physically making it look better is going to be my next goal. And then now that I've sort of got this image in my mind of what the country looks like, I am now making notes, again, I've said about this already, about years, timelines, political system and how it works, or money, things like that. I've started to plan as well. And then I'm going to do other world building bits as I write. So I feel like I need to, because I was a pantser and now I'm becoming more of a planner, but I still feel like I can't plan everything before I've written. Like, it needs to happen alongside. So I get the basics done first, and then I start writing, and then I plan as I write when I need to. So if I've got a question about, oh, who would this character be? What would his job role be? That is when I will then go and plan out like more specifics of the political system. So that's a small summary of the changes that I'm making so far and kind of my planning and map making process. And that kind of has all led to me writing the first chapter, which is almost finished. And it's definitely starting off. Actually, I can move this back. Move the map. I'm moving back in the middle. Hold on. And where was I? Oh yeah, writing the first chapter. That has definitely helped write the first chapter. One thing when writing or beginning a story that I've learned over the years is not to draw out the beginning for too long. So I have cut a little bit of where it starts. So it does start only a tiny bit later on from where it does in the Wattpad version. It's kind of starting at the ball instead, and then elements of the trial is going to change just to kind of cut it down a little bit, the Queen's Trial bits, because I have a specific word count in mind that I would like to try and keep, and I have a habit of going far, 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 far beyond them. But for a first book, I really don't want to be going over about 100,000 to 110,000 words. So I'm going to be definitely tightening it up, cutting down the story, and one of those things to do that includes not dragging out the beginning and the exposition for too long and kind of getting straight into the action. So the first chapter has started very differently, at least now. Who knows, I might change the beginning again, but I'm happy with where this first chapter is, which is good. And the characters are already changing in ways that I really enjoy. One little spoiler I will give is Matthias is definitely not going to be as outrightly nasty as he is in the Wattpad version. At least he was to begin with. He was quite mocking, he was quite cruel, whereas in this version he's definitely going to be slightly more meeker, I guess, and calmer. And yeah, he's not going to be as cruel as he begins in the book on Wattpad. And that is mainly because I feel like his character development in Wattpad doesn't quite make as much sense when you hear his backstory. And in the end, when you realise he really does love his daughters, that wasn't really shown in the beginning that he did. Whereas in this version, it's going to be really clear that he's a man who is very stuck in the system built around him, who does love his daughters dearly, but doesn't know how to escape the system and doesn't really know how to protect them. And I think that's just going to make him a much more complex and sympathetic character. So yeah, those are your few spoilers of the day. I'm going to try not to give any more spoilers in any other update videos, but there we go. Those are your spoilers. So yeah, that is the progress I've made so far. Not very much because I've been a busy bee, but we've got some planning done. We've got some plans in mind from feedback. And we've got a first chapter pretty much written that I'm very happy with, and now I'm just getting myself back into the mindset of writing this story because it's been many years and I'm really enjoying it. I have lots of ideas that I want to bring in to make this world just so much richer and just so much more fun, and it's going to be new for the reader to explore as well. So if you think that you're going to be getting the exact same story that you read for free on Wattpad, and there's no point reading it in the future when it's published, that's not happening. There is going to be, like I said, a lot of changes. I'm just so excited to show you the world that I'm going to build. It's going to be much more complex, much more thought out, and it's just going to be so much fun. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out for any updates in the future. And again, I'm going to try as much as I can to kind of keep the magic that so many people loved in the Wattpad version in this version, whilst also majorly increasing the quality of the storytelling, the world building, the characters, and just the writing in general. So yeah, please follow along for more updates, and I hope you're as excited about this new version of the Mad Queen as I am. It is going to take a while. I mean, look, it's taken me a month to write chapter 1, but hopefully once I get back into it, it should be quicker. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I really need to improve my camera persona. So yeah, like the video and turn on the notification button because, if you want to carry on getting updates about the Mad Queen, then that will alert you to when I have new videos, even though they may not always be about the Mad Queen. But anyway, please hit that notification button, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff, follow links, and yeah, hope you have a good day, and that's me out. Bye!